happy World Environment Day, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all to today's event, Climate and Health in the Indo-Pacific, Resilience, Resources and Risks, hosted under the aegis of the SUFIP Development Network at the Observer Research Foundation. And at the very outset, let me also thank our partners who have initiated this particular network, the AFD. Thanks, Lauren. And I think the network has really taken off, and some very interesting initiatives have taken place under the aegis of this particular network. And frankly speaking, the gathering couldn't have been more apt and more timely, and at the opportune moment this is taking place. We are marking this is the World Environment Day, and we are reminded of the extensive challenges that are being faced across the world. These are, of course, the developmental challenges, because we reckon climate change as a developmental problem more than an environmental problem, emerging from the forces of development, getting through the environmental channel, then in fact affecting our long-term developmental aspirations and the various developmental parameters as well. So there are intersecting crises when we talk about climate and health, especially in the context, in the space of the Indo-Pacific, one of the most climatically vulnerable regions in the world. The SUFIP Development Network was established to deepen regional cooperation and knowledge exchange and sharing around sustainable development challenges. Now, these are two of the most critical challenges that we are facing at this point in time, and not only that, they are intersecting as well. So, given the extensive climate and health linkages, I presume that it is not merely that we should be talking about climate financing and health as such, but we need to talk about the inextricable linkage between these two challenges that the world is facing today. The important issue, of course, lies with climate financing as such. And more importantly, when we talk about some of the large parts of the developing world, we should be aware of the fact that while we are talking in terms of, say, green financing, we're talking in terms of green transition or energy transition as such, a large component of this financing is getting into mitigation projects as against adaptation projects. And even today, this bias exists in in the mindset of many of these development financial institutions, rather to be more specific, multilateral financial institutions, given the fact that there is a very perceptible return on investment on most of the mitigation projects, whereas adaptation projects occur in the form of public goods, where you really don't find a perceptible ROI. So they happen to be, as they say in the context of public goods, they happen to be non-excludable and non-rival in nature when it comes to consumption. And that is why nobody owns them. So how do we really ensure that private players also come into this game of financing adaptation projects, especially projects that talk about climate resilient infrastructure, climate resilient agriculture, or suppose even creation of embankments in large parts of climatically vulnerable region in the Bay of Bengal, especially when we talk about, in fact, our coastlines, and also the Sundarbans, around 100 kilometers from where we are sitting right now. So these are some of the critical challenges that are occurring. And even out here, One Health is something that we have to talk about. And One Health is not only about the human health. We have to talk about the extensive and the inextricable linkage between the natural ecosystem and humans. And here, though in fact One Health doesn't often discuss the issue of ecosystem services, which are the services provided by the natural ecosystem to the human community through its organic functioning, there are also disservices which we have to acknowledge because of extensive and often unbridled exploitation of the natural ecosystem. That also needs to be acknowledged in this framework. So some of the critical questions are going to arise in the context of the discussions, which I'm sure that are going to be extremely thought-provoking and is going to lead the way for much greater deliberations and creation of a new holistic and integrated discourse in the context of our entire developmental thinking, at least in this part of the world. So I welcome you all. I look forward to an enthralling half-a-day discussion on these two very critical topics. Let me yet again thank our partners, Lauren, in fact, from AFD, for setting up this development network, which is doing an extensive work right now, and which is now, in fact, in an auto mode and in an organic, through its organic functioning, it has really set a different discourse in the context of development thinking. So let's set it off. So I just request my colleague Swati to talk a bit about the SUFIP Development Network and how it has evolved over time.
Thank you, Dr. Ghosh. Good morning, everyone, and it's a real pleasure to see you all here right in the morning. Thanks, monsoons, but extremely excited that so many of you have turned up to make this event extremely significant and not only important as far as sustainable development is concerned, but the kind of interest that we have received from diverse stakeholders who are part of the network. Dr. Ghosh has already set the context as far as sustainability, development objectives, and ecology, and the link between ecology and ecosystem and economy. I'll briefly introduce the network. Why did we come up with such a development network in the first place? So the term that we've used here, SUFIP, we call it SUFIP, that is Sustainable Finance in the Indo-Pacific. It is a knowledge collaborative body consisting of diverse stakeholders from academia, research organizations, think tanks, DFIs, development finance institutions. I see a lot of students who've joined us today. So, development finance institutions, public development banks, multilateral development banks, and also people involved at the grassroots, like civil society, philanthropy, etc. So the network, the roots of the network can be traced back to 2022, when SUFIP had a meeting or a conference in Paris when France was holding the EU Ministerial Forum. It was heading the EU Ministerial Forum, and they convened a gathering of different public development banks and DFIs to think about the Indo-Pacific as far as financing for sustainability is concerned. This was in 2022, a precursor to the development network, and to give it a shape and a form as far as building more knowledge and to understand the themes or the issues or the challenges that concern sustainability, particularly in the geographic expanse of the Indo-Pacific, the network came into being. Why are we talking about the Indo-Pacific? There are different connotations, different interpretations, and different ideas associated with the entire geographic concept. But personally, I believe that the concept has somehow been, looked at very specifically from a security lens. There are other angles and elements to it that needs to be further explored and understood and comprehended, not just by us, but also by people like you, students and young people, researching these themes in your own courseworks. So that was one of the important ideas behind SUFIP to understand what are the developmental imperatives of this region. And these are not just, as Dr. Ghosh mentioned, the environmental targets, but more holistic development. That area of development is being challenged for this particular geographic expanse. So this is in this sense, it's a joint collaboration between Observer Research Foundation and AFT. It is not giving you solutions or financing tools as such. Many people try to that there's some sort of a misunderstanding in the network that we are coming out with new financing tools. No, it's not that. We are trying to brainstorm and understand how can we think of alternative modes of financing when money is there. How can we channelize this money? So that's the entire idea of this network. And it's been almost 2.5 years in this journey with AFD. ORF has been a constant partner. We have gathered roughly 100 experts from across the Indo-Pacific region. We have a SUFIP, dedicated SUFIP website on the ORF webpage. The QR code is right there in your agenda that has been circulated. You can scan and check our website as well. We do publish several short forms. Short forms are short commentaries of 800,000 words dealing with a particular issue in depth and a concise argument to understand it better. We also publish long papers like issue briefs or occasional papers, as we call it in our ORF language or research language. So we have long research papers dealing with 3 thematics that the network specifically focuses on. That is climate change, energy transition, and building global health resilience. Financing and gender is a cross-cutting issue across these 3 thematic areas. Apart from the ORF SUFIP microsite, we also have a very vibrant LinkedIn group. which is the SUFIP page on LinkedIn community. We have around 700 odd members there who keep interacting with us. They may not be directly linked with financing or with a development financing institution or a public development bank, but they're quite keen on following the facts and figures of this region. So knowledge collaboration, building understanding, and building synergies between different stakeholders is what this network attempts to do. Apart from the publications and the website and the LinkedIn page, we also circulate a SUFIP newsletter every quarterly, updating our network members what the network is up to. Because it is very difficult to manage a virtual center that way. This is a virtual center. It doesn't have a physical head office. It's virtually managed, and especially after times of the pandemic, people have become more interconnected thanks to the internet and the advancement of digital technologies. So apart from the SUFIP microsite and LinkedIn page and our social media activities, we have a SUFIP scientific committee. Now, the scientific committee consists of about 8 odd experts from different thematic areas and from different regions of the Indo-Pacific. And also, we have taken care of the gender balance as well. So we have one of our stakeholders from Papua New Guinea. She works at the grassroots level in the Pacific island of Papua New Guinea. Then we have a couple of experts working from a security perspective from Jawaharlal Nehru University, JNU, Delhi. We also have one of our experts working on financing from Germany, the Institute for Development and Sustainability in Bonn. And apart from that, we have 2 experts working on health from Africa. So we've also taken in perspective the African agenda as far as sustainability, financing, and what are the problems they face. We want to expand more. We want to, somehow hold on to this momentum and utilize this as much as we can, considering the uncertain times we live in. You never know what's going to come up next on your platter. So we are doing our best to sustain the network, and we encourage all of you to also join the network. Those who are new to the network, kindly join us, and we look forward to having a more interactive conversation for you, not just today till 1 p.m., but also beyond that. Thank you.
Thank you, Swati. May I now request Lauren Coates, Head of Climate Finance and Energy at AFT, for the opening remarks.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. So let me start by thanking the ORF team for putting this event together. And it's always a pleasure to work with you. And I also like to warmly thank all the panelists and the participants for being here today. So I had a nice speech before, but you said everything. So I don't know what I have to say left. Maybe just a few words to recall why SUFIP-DN is very important for AFD and why this particular session matters. So I will be very brief because I think you said everything, but for a public bank like the French Development Agency, SUFIP-DN is very important. We have many partnerships like that in many parts of the world. And each time what we try to do is to work with these partners to identify knowledge gaps, And by identifying these knowledge gaps, then after we can develop new financing that will be more relevant. And with SUFIP-DN, what is very, very interesting is that there is a strong focus, not only on adaptation, because still we are talking a lot about mitigation, but there is a strong focus on adaptation and resilience. And as you said, what we have seen is that much of the funding now are going to mitigation, even the private sector, because it's something that is not easier, but it's something that is maybe mainstream now. And adaptation is something that is more and more important because the climate change is changing very fast, and now we have to find very quickly solution, And so that's why SUFIP-DN is very important for us to see how to find solution to adapt. And what is very challenging is that when you talk about adaptation and resilience, it's not something like globally, like mitigation, is that you have to adapt to many localized problems, issues. The issue from a district is not the same as another one. So it's really complicated to have like a standard solution. So that's why it's very important for us. And I think, yes, in 3 years, SUFIP DN already achieved something very important with this network of researchers from across the Indo-Pacific. And we have already a significant number of deliverables that are online. And I invite you to see these deliverables, many reports. So regarding this session, I think it's the first time we are talking directly about health. And it's really, really important because I think this is the closest sector linked to adaptation and resilience. So it's really how humans are going to behave regarding the climate change. So what does it mean? So it's something very, very strong, and that's why I'm very happy that we have this session today. It's something that the scientific committee identified, I think, last year. So it's really a way demonstrating that the governance of SUFIP-DN is really relevant. So I'm not a specialist on health, so I'm not going to tell you what AFD is doing in health, but my colleague in the first panel will explain it. But as I would say an economist, there is two things that catch my attention regarding this. One is about demography. What I realized is that there is a very strong demographic trend in many countries in the Indo-Pacific, aging population, and it's accelerating. So one of my questions, I know that maybe it's not the time to ask questions, but I have anticipated question. One of the question, and I don't know if the panel will address it, is how aging is taken into account regarding health and climate change, because I'm pretty sure that it's something climate change will have a strong impact on aging population. So something we already saw, for example, in Europe with heat waves that affected a lot the oldest. So it's something I don't know. Maybe we can discuss this after the panel. Another point is when we speak about adaptation and resilience, as you said, one of the issue is regarding, I would say, the economic model, the business model. Most of the financing are coming from public institution, because many people say, you know, adaptation, resilience, it's basically a public good. It's a good with many social spillovers. So it's very difficult for a private institution to finance it. So maybe in the second panel, we'll have discussion around that. And it's something AFD is trying to develop. We have strong discussions with the public bank, for example, to see how they can deal with their customers to make them aware of the risks they have regarding their portfolio and activities. So it's something very interesting we can discuss about. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lauren. I think those are extremely German concerns, and especially the concern about healthy aging. Healthy aging is something that we have also taken up at ORM, and especially the linkage that you talked about, how climate change is going to accelerate the challenges in the context of healthy aging. One very critical element which we have to address in course of this emerging discourse is how we essentially think about this entire integrated challenge in the context of what economist Mohan Munna Singh put across, the irreconcilable trinity of sustainable development. How do we reconcile between equity, efficiency, and sustainability? So climate change is an added problem, it simply brings about a different dimension to this entire framework of what Mona Singh calls sustainomics. Now, you talk about human health, you talk about, say, education, we talk about poverty, we talk about all these issues. These are primarily the equity issues or issues of distributive justice. Now, climate change has an impact on all these issues, which are definitely, which form one of the verticals or one of the goals in the SDG framework. We also have the various efficiency parameters built into the SDG framework. When you talk about economic growth, talk about industry, talk about innovation, these are various efficiency parameters. And of course, the sustainability dimension that is built into the SDG framework. So how do we reconcile these three goals or these three verticals, which are prima facie or apparently irreconcilable? And there lies the challenge of the global development discourse, which has to percolate at the very local level, as you rightly mentioned. And that is exactly what the SUFIP development network is, or SUFIP as a program, Sustainable Financing in the Indo-Pacific, is trying to address. So over time, if you look at the various verticals, in some way or the other, they're trying to affect all the SDGs. But of course, those goals are going to change maybe post 2030. I really don't know. Some of the goals, I mean, we as far as the midterm assessment is concerned, we achieved barely 30.14% of the goals. So we have more than 80% left, and possibly we are not going to address all these goals by 2030. So some of them are going to be addressed, in fact, post 2030, and new goals are also going to emerge. Possibly we also need to think about that. It's already 2025. And over the next 5 years, we have to think of the newer goals that are going to be. And maybe, in fact, those goals might be in a different domain, might be the digital domain. You have to think about how do we bridge the digital divide across nations, which is going to be extremely cross-cutting across these various goals. In fact, we also talked about something called the ingenuity gap or production of ideas. I mean, how do we essentially bridge this particular ingenuity gap between nations? That might be another goal. Well, these are different challenges that are going to emerge, but I presume climate change is not only the elephant in the room at this point in time, but it's going to remain as a challenge for years to come. And that is definitely going to affect whatever development goals we choose and how the development discourse is going to evolve over time. So I think with these few words, let me welcome you yet again. We look forward to an extremely engaging and enthralling discussion for the next 2.5 hours. Thank you everybody for being here. Please participate in the discussion with your full energy and enthusiasm.